remove any of your notes, readers. Take no offense. They just look fun. Like we have a hard time like with the recording and like uploading
You?
content.
All right, I think we're good.
And then do you want to spotlight you and I in case anyone like
Yeah.
just all of the, there's so many buttons to hit like when we get on. Cool. Well, guys, just some quick, um, what's it called? Like
Housekeeping.
housekeeping. Thank you. I was like, what is that called when you like, we open it up to questions at the end of this podcast every week. So if you have questions about marketing your bookkeeping business, signing a client, whatever it is, it goes. If it is a question that like we can't answer in just a few minutes, we'll let you know, and we'll recommend maybe a private coaching call with me or Megan or another coach, or if we can point you in the right direction for some of that, if we have a resource and things available. But today we are talking about onboarding a client, like the workflows around like your clients and all of those things. We've noticed it's a really big hang up to students. They're like, well, yes, I want to go market, but what do I do that, when a client says yes? And so if a client said yes today, would you know what to do next? And that's what we're going to cover in this episode. Now, I was talking to Megan, and I feel like there needs to just be this like huge disclaimer on today's episode. Because while this is super important to evaluate as you grow your business, the biggest mistake you can do, the biggest mistake surrounding like your workflows and like all of these things is completely derailing your business. I have seen bookkeepers never get started and never get their first client because they cannot wrap their mind around what we're going to talk through today, like getting it set up. And it really is like riding a bike. Like you aren't going to understand how to move the handlebars and stay balanced and pedal all at the same time until you start doing it.
Right.
And so it's okay. It is okay to fall. Like the clients aren't going to notice everything that you notice the same way. So I just felt like, and Megan, is there anything you want to add to that? I know we just felt like that was such a huge, like.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Because I can tell you in the very early stages of my business, it was literally a PDF that was sent over and they had to print it, sign it, and send it back because that's just all I had. And that's how I was handling it. And it worked. I got clients that way still. So
I remember scanning over a PDF on the worst scanner ever
yeah.
to my first client. And I think it was partially because like some of the tools that are available today weren't like as widespread when we got started.
Yeah.
They were there to some degree, but it was like, do you really need like, so I started using Practice Ignition, now called Ignition. There was like Panda Docs, but like I didn't find Panda Docs for a couple of years after, like, so like there and there's like Adobe Scan and things like that, but like I just didn't have, as a stay-at-home mom, like I didn't need subscriptions to stuff, and so my first client came because of an experiment. Like I was not ready for said client. Like I was just like, let me help you on this project, and well, and then we both figured out ways to like make that easier, and even with like scanning a document, like then we figured out, like I think one of the first subscriptions I had was Adobe, like the 14.99 scan, which is actually not on the list of things that I'm going to tell you that you need today. and funny in all honesty. So today we're going to talk to you about like just having a smooth, repeatable client workflow. So this is from onboarding to client flows, delivering the financials, all of those things. And the tools me and Megan use are QuickBooks Online. It's free. Keeper, it costs you per client that you have, so you can definitely build in that cost to the client. I really like it for that reason. So that is a workflow and client portal. So it is SOX compliant. That I did want when I first started, but Keeper didn't even exist at that point. Equip 360 we use for our websites, we use for marketing, we use for, you can use it for like social media scheduling. You can also use for documents, so your engagement letter and payments, billing. We're not going to go into detail on how to set all of that up today, but I want you to know that you can use it for that. And then Google Workspace. So Google Workspace is, depending on what level you're on, it's under $20 a month for your email, and you're having to pay for some sort of email anyway, if you want it to have a professional business email. Google Workspace or Microsoft Teams. The other one was Equip 360. It is the website platform Megan and I are recommending just because we use it, and it does everything all in one. So you don't need like Squarespace plus oh, here, let me put the link. There you go. And then Google Workspace, so email, I use it for its Google Drive. I use it for Google Meets as well. So instead of using, sending my clients a Zoom link, I do just send them a Google Meet. And I also use the appointments feature in Google Workspace versus Calendly. So those are seriously what I use. QuickBooks Online, Keeper, Equip 360, Google Workspace. In the past, I have used Calendly. I think I still have like a link somewhere that's still using Calendly. And then Zoom. And so now I'm on like the free Zoom and the free, free Calendly and stuff. And that's fine. Those are definitely free and you can use them. You don't have to, especially if you're just trying to get started. Okay. One of the reasons we wanted to talk about workflows today was it does build confidence. If you know my client is going to say yes, and it's going to roughly look like this to get them into Keeper, and I'm going to use this, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you're going to feel better in the sales call. You're going to feel more confident saying, hey, this is what I can do for you. So when they ask, well, can you do this? You're not feeling like you have to say yes to everything they can possibly ask for. You're not a virtual assistant. And so it's going to help you know like what you can do, what's in your area of expertise, and that you're not going to let the client down month one because their expectations were here and yours was, somewhere else. Okay, so it gives you peace of mind. It does build client trust. Some of you guys can, me and Megan, like, we just didn't even have that conversation of what to expect. Like, we had to like kind of go back and set these expectations after the fact. Like, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, after getting into your books, we're going to do this. And you can definitely do it that way. We did. It was years before I had Keeper. And so I came up with a system, and that was a system I executed. And then it's going to be less last minute scrambling for you. So you're going to feel like you actually know what you're doing. It's going to reduce that overwhelm of like, I don't know, Megan, like when I'm doing like project work, this can happen. Like if it's really not scoped right, like it feels like in my brain, I can like overcomplicate the task at hand Whereas if I have like a known plan, I'm reconciling transactions. I'm going to record all the transactions. I'm going to connect the bank feed. I'm going to code them. Here's what I do if I have a question, I'm going to reconcile, and then here's how I'm going to deliver the financials. And like, this is what they're going to get. Like, that makes it super simple because I know I have to do A, B, C, and then I'm done.
Right.
Versus like making A, B, and C feel like A through Z, as in zebra. So I just, it feels so much. So, okay. So we're going to give you workflow in 3 parts. You have the onboarding. So a client says yes. Now, I was talking to Megan, and I was like, this could actually be at 2 different stages, right? Like some clients, if you're on a sales call. So ultimately it starts like with your sales call, but we're going to go ahead and jump into the onboarding part. So a client says yes. Either they say yes to you on Facebook and they're like, hey, can you send me, like, I want to get started. So that's a yes. Or maybe you're on a sales call and you're like, hey, I'm going to send you the engagement letter. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll follow up with you on Friday. Okay. Is 11 a.m. on Friday a good time to check in on you? Great. Thursday evening, you see that engagement letter come through and you're like, they said yes. Okay. Is there any other way that they say yes? Something like that, phone call, yes, or, whatever. So you get the yes. If you have not already sent the engagement letter, your next step is to send that engagement letter and get it signed. Okay. If they sign the engagement letter and that's their yes, great. My engagement letter serves as like my welcome to the family type email, it lays out like, hey, here's the next step. And then it go like in that email that goes out with it, or the message that goes with it, I go ahead and let them know I'm going to set you up in our client portal, and that will walk you through the next steps to get set up, everything I need from there. I do go ahead and set up like a shared folder in Google Drive. I don't often use it anymore. I used to use it. This was before Keeper, and I used it. That's what I would send to the client so that they could upload bank statements and tax returns and everything I needed, EINs, because sometimes they don't know their EIN. And I'm finding that the client accidentally has 2 EINs because they went from a sole prop to an LLC or sole prop to an S corp, and we need to know some of those things. So I used to send them like just a Google Drive shared folder, and that was the only folder in their client folder of Google Drive that was shared with them. Today I use it as a offboarding folder. So it's there, it's templated, but it doesn't get shared with them unless they offboard. And so I zip file it, we secure send it to them, and that is all of their documentation. Everything else they can pull down from the portal. And then in Keeper, so my next step in onboarding is I have an onboarding template in Keeper. If you're new to Keeper, there are plenty of templates in Keeper alone, but we also have like an onboarding checklist. We have all the checklists. So like, if you're a checklist person, we have onboarding checklists, like when a new client says yes, in the Bookkeeper blueprint. So there's a whole library of resources. There's the engagement letters. There's the disengagement letter, if you need that. There's a email how to ask for what you need. Like if you've got transaction questions and you're not using something like Keeper, how to, old school ask for that. Like, how does that make sense? I know that was a big hang up for me, like, coming from corporate, like a lot of emails like are routine, but now you're on your own and you're like, especially if you've been out of the workforce for a while, it can feel overwhelming. So if you're feeling like, I don't know how to say, I don't know how to email a client, don't feel odd by that. Like, that's okay. And we know that some of you guys are feeling that way. Others of you are like, I have no problem emailing a client. Great. For those of you that are like, I don't want to email this client, we've got a lot of templated emails out for you. That way you can kind of work them into your workflow, save them as templates in Google, save them as templates in Keeper, and just kind of take a deep breath. It will be okay. And if you need
Definitely.
help, like, I don't know what to say to this client, like, let us know that. Obviously we can't give legal advice, but like, we can tell you if you have an attitude in the email, right? Like, make it attitude, make it like, pull your jets.
Tone it down a bit. Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. Like, I just, like, we'll tell you. Okay. So in that onboarding in Keeper, that's where I'm getting there. Hey, now there's two ways to do this, but in the onboarding, if I don't already have access to their QuickBooks Online account, you guys have heard me say on previous episodes, I like getting their QuickBooks Online account, like during the discovery call process. As fast as I can get it, I want access. That way I can quote them better. If for some reason I don't have it, which happens, there are multiple reasons. Maybe they're a trading client, maybe they had to hack into their own QuickBooks account, or whatever. I'm going to request it there. So it's in my template, and 90% of the time I'm deleting it, but it is there. And then I request access, read only accountant access to their bank accounts. I am not looking for their username and password. I do not want it, and I will delete said message. Like, I don't want their, to me, I've just seen so much fraud. And then at that point, so what I do is I have my onboarding checklist, and then I say, once you're done with all of these, your next step is to schedule a call with me here. And it's an onboarding call. And what I use that onboarding call is for, they had trouble with a bank account. I'm having trouble accessing a bank account that they set up for me. I'm still missing a piece of information, or now that I've gotten information, I found another bank account, I found another credit card, and it gives me eyeball time with them via like Google Meet to ask them that and kind of put a bow on the onboarding process. You do not have to do an onboarding call. Megan, you don't do an onboarding call. Do you want to talk about that?
No. Yeah, I do not do an onboarding call. So I usually try to just have like my initial discovery call, get as much information, talk about stuff as much as we can there. And then I follow up with the email with the engagement letter. Here's the next steps. And then like I have written out, this is how to add me to QuickBooks. If I don't already have QuickBooks access, this is exactly what statements we'll need. I have a document on like processes on uploading it to Google Drive or Keeper, whichever one I'm using for that particular client. And then, so I just send over all those documents in the email, and then we move forward from there. So, I mean, like sometimes, of course, you might have a client who needs help because now we got to connect. If they didn't have QuickBooks, they might need help connecting bank accounts to QuickBooks and things along those lines. But yeah, for the most part, there's not like a separate onboarding call for me, for my clients. And then let's see, so you get access to QuickBooks, all that, whether you're doing an onboarding call. Yeah. So I went over what I do, Sherry. I was trying to pick up where you left off.
Very good. Yeah, so lots of options as far as like how you communicate with clients. I think what I've seen is the more communication you can give them up front, the more confident they're going to be in you. I have seen bookkeepers often. A client says yes, and they have this like, oh no moment, and they just want to like hide in bed, and like, yeah, they get stuff, and then they're like, well, maybe I should know this. I don't want to ask the client this, or I don't want to, maybe I should like, and they get really in their head about executing the work. And that's like the opposite of what you should do. Like at the very beginning is the time to act dumber than dumber, because you can ask, like, you're getting to know their business. but trying to like, oh, hey, I just found out you had a bank account 6 months later, that loses trust. So we want to dive in. We really want to like, in that first 4 to 6 weeks. So we want to set expectations to give us time to dive in, because you might need to get on a call and ask me Megan questions. Like if you don't know like what's going on with the books, especially if it's your first client, you want to do those frequently so the client isn't getting pushed out 3 to 6 months and you feel like you're asking this question really that you should have asked week 1. 6 months later, that's going to make you feel really insecure about it. So
And I think it's important to remember that like it is okay to ask the clients questions, because I know like one thing that we see all the time is a lot of bookkeepers don't want to go back to the client and ask the question because they feel like they should know. But especially when you're taking on a new client, you're not a mind reader. You don't know everything that they're doing or their thought process or anything like that. So it's definitely okay to ask them questions. That's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to make sure it's being done right and everything.
exactly. Okay, so now we have access to QuickBooks Online. We've asked them all the questions. Maybe we've set up Keeper. I'm gonna assume that we're using Keeper, but even if you're not using Keeper, we have monthly bookkeeping workflows that I use alongside Keeper. You can plug them in, or you can use them as standalone. So like if you're really good, some of you guys are really good administratively. My brain does not work in an administrative role, like you know how like some people are really good with like organizing a spreadsheet for like different like dashboards and stuff. That's actually not me. I'm really good with Excel. I'm really good with analytical things, but I'm not really good with like compiling a bunch of random like tasks and stuff and like making. Some of you guys have some really amazing Google Sheets is what I'm saying, like to organize your bookkeeping business. And I just was never that person. So you can do this in that. And we have a checklist. If you want to take that checklist and either use it straight up or make it into a pretty dashboard for yourself for each client, have at it. I've seen you guys create some pretty cool things. Okay, so what do we need to do, right? So in the bookkeeping blueprint, we have especially if you're very visual, we have a calendar even of what it looks like in calendar form to do a month, like a set of monthly books. So super cool. You're going to check, maybe weekly for open task notes, uncategorized items. I know I like to categorize all clients weekly just because I like to get them questions throughout the month when it's fresh in their mind. For me, it serves 2 purposes. It's fresh in their mind and I can hope to get an answer. B, a correct answer. B, it lets them know I'm working on their books. And you don't have to do this. We have coaches who if you're a monthly client, like let's say you're, a $300 a month client, they will touch you once a month at the end of the month. And that is they're coding everything, they're reconciling it. And at that point, they're asking you questions about the books. That's acceptable. Okay. So throughout the month, or at the end of the month, you're going to review the bank feed. So hopefully the bank feed in QuickBooks Online is connected and it's staying connected. I am seeing more and more banks start to break those connections intentionally for like their own internal IT processes. So BMO just contacted one of my clients and said, hey, you need to get with your third party person. They're not going, like it's going to break on them. This is what we're saying. And so thankfully I already meet with this client every 2 weeks. And so like it gives me an opportunity to say, hey, please connect your bank feeds. But I have a template in Keeper as well that says, please log in and go reconnect your bank feeds because we need this, right? So you can just do it. You can set up a cadence to check in with them, make sure it's connected. Typically, Our process is if it gets disconnected and they have to log in to verify, which often they have to like connect the bank feeds and verify that. Our access doesn't give us that. And it shouldn't technically give us that because we want accountant read-only access. We want to protect ourselves from that. We'll send them an email out of Keeper. It's a templated email. Please reconnect your bank feeds. And we'll do as much as we can. So we review it in there. If you have access to the bank, it doesn't connect. You can import those once a week, every 2 weeks, at the end of the month, whatever your cadence is. A lot of times if we're having to do an import, if it's not that many transactions, we will wait to do that import once or twice a month. We won't necessarily do it like, we're not going to do it for 5 transactions. Does that make sense? Like, so we get to know the client, what's going on in their accounts, and then we set those tasks up in Keeper and we refine those as we go for those first 6 months. And just a tip, you can do like a 6-month like check-in with a client and just make sure that they're feeling good about it, you're feeling good about it. And if you set that as a standard, then if something does surprise you and you didn't know to ask, but you're on the co-working call and I say, hey, you should be doing this, and you're like, oh, I don't even have access to that. We can set protections for us in place to have that open communication with our clients. Because there will be something that you didn't really hear in the course to go do, or something that the client's doing that like not all of these other clients are doing. So so we're going to categorize them, in the bank feed. Then we're going to reconcile. So at the end of the month, most statements are going to be available by like the 4th through the 6th. So between the 1st through the 3rd, we're making sure everything's coded, everything's pushed out to a client that we need. 4th through the 6th, we've pulled we've pulled statements, we can reconcile them. Once they're reconciled, you can actually go review. I recommend reviewing the P&L. So like a lot of you guys are going to start with really getting confident around the profit and loss statement, also called the income statement. If I'm on a podcast, I am saying P&L. So just know, and I see your question. I'm going to circle back to that. Run it month over month. So regardless of like, this is your first month doing it, we're in May, run it January, February, March, April, and see how consistent it is. The dates I just said, I didn't give the full calendar, but like, so I code throughout the month. The 1st through the 3rd, like everything should have come through the bank feed. So in my mind, the 1st through the 3rd, we're pushing out any remaining uncategorized transactions through Keeper. Or if you're sending an email, we're going to get that email sent off now because we've got all of them. I'm going to be asking for anything I don't have from the client. So maybe the client has to send me a statement. Maybe the client has to, maybe we need something, a loan document, whatever that isn't normal. All of that I'm going to get through the 1st through the 3rd. Like anything we need to finish the books needs to be pushed out and asked of the client. The 4th through the 6th is where like we can reconcile. So like the 1st through the 3rd, we should be able to start like pulling statements, but really they're going to be available by the 4th through the 6th. We can pull almost all statements that are a 30th, 31st close date, right? If they close, if it was an Amex card that closed on the 20th, we already pulled it, we already reconciled on the 20th. I'm just high level on the, the true month. So that's when we're reconciling all of the accounts to that. If there's any additional issues that come up, things like that. The 6th through the 12th is the reviews that we're doing on the books. The 12th through the 14th would be like any edits or whatnot that we need to make. And then we're doing final reviews and pushing out financials typically between the 15th and the 20th, 21st, 22nd, depending on when the month falls and things like that. So if it's a holiday, like, January 1st is a holiday, like some of that can get delayed, but. Okay, and then you do it weekly. Do you also send them the questions weekly? So Keeper sends out like automatic reminders, like, hey, client, you have something in the portal to answer for us. I do it twice a week just so I can get in front of them. Like it's a, hey, at the beginning of the week, here's the questions for you. And then like Thursday, it's before you go away for the weekend, here's some questions. And it doesn't send them questions if there's not questions in the portal. They don't get an email. So we try to clear stuff as quickly as possible so that they don't get pinged again. I don't think they get pinged if they've answered. I just like to be on top of clearing anything in the client section out. That way, when they log in, they don't get distracted by stuff that they've already answered, because it will if it's open, it will stay open for them too. Like they'll see it. So no, I do not wait to the end of the month just because I want them to know, and this is just a preference. This is not an industry. If you got me in front of a panel of other bookkeepers, this is just my opinion. Can I say that? I want them to know that I'm working on the books throughout the month, and it's freshest when they just went to Walmart and commingled that swipe. It's fresher than a month later being like, what did I purchase from Walmart? Was it business? Was it not? Especially if you have someone in the trades. Did I purchase water? What happened? It's freshest immediately. So that's just my opinion. So after we reconcile and then we do a review. So you're going to do that month over month review. You're going to look for, anything in parent accounts, and Keeper will help walk you through some of that review as well. What's where. Then you can publish a financial package either out of QuickBooks Online. You can use, we have a really pretty and informative, more importantly, template in Canva available in the Bookkeeper Blueprint. And you can also use Keeper to publish financials. With Keeper though, all of your work is tracked in one place. So if you know that hey, I need to add a task, you add it, it rolls forward to the next month. So it's like your assistant for staying on top of the client books and staying ready. And if you guys are interested in Keeper, I'm going to go ahead and post a link to it. It is the most cost-effective for me workflow, and I looked at a lot of them. A lot of them charged by user, and for me, that was an issue because I couldn't at that point in time I was trying to hire contractors and paid them a percentage, and so it just mathematically it didn't make sense for me to do that. So we get questions a lot about what happens if a client disengages, because a client will disengage. As much as I want to tell you that you're going to have 100% of all your clients for the next 5 years, that's not reality. It's not industry standard. So if you can expect it to come, it will be easier when it happens. So one, we're going to expect it. That's part of being in having a bookkeeping business. They're going to leave for lots of reasons. It could be personality, could be they need something different than what you're set up to provide. They could be taking it in-house. Now, if they're taking it in-house, sometimes you can actually be their full outsourced accountant. But sometimes the reason they're taking it in-house is they want a virtual assistant, not a virtual assistant, a assistant like physically there answering the phones and doing billing and doing invoicing, like all right there at a desk. And like greet customers and stuff. Like I'm not going to compete with that, but if they're looking for like virtual help, like I can probably compete with it a little bit. And what about clients who want to pause? It took me, Megan, have you ever had a client come to you saying, hey, can we pause? Like I'm having cash flow issues. Can I just pause my like services with you?
I think most of them have just, like, with cash flow issues, have just canceled, and then like it was kind of like, hey, we'll cancel, we'll be back when we can. Yeah.
Yeah. I had the first time I had someone try to pause, I think they were really looking to cancel and it was their excuse. And so since then, I have, like, if they want to pause, I do like a $25 like monthly fee. And so I make that part of my admin. So when they sign the engagement letter, I now have like a $25 just like admin fee just to do services with us. And the way I've set it up is like that will keep charging for the life of the client. So if they pause, I can pause the, let's call it the $500 a month service plus the 25. So they're $525. That helps cover Keeper and whatever else you're doing with software. See, I'm looking out for you. I promise, guys. But then that $25, I don't have to like go set up a new sales receipt for or something like that. It just continues to charge. And I can pause that one. That way I don't have to like incur this cost of Keeper to keep everything like connected and like there for them. And it makes them kind of buck up to, oh, do I want to cancel or do I want to pause? And so like, and $25 like in a cash flow issue, if they really do value my service, they will pay it. Since I've done that, I've never had anyone even ask to pause. Like I was like, go figure it out. But it has been a nice implementation to like just covering the cost and like having a plan in place for some of that. So yeah, so final wrap up, you're going to get anything from them. You're going to decide how much support do I give them after we've closed the books. That could be 30 days. Some of you guys in your engagement letters have like a 30-day cancellation notice. I do not have one for like me canceling them. Like as long as they cancel before, oh, Cynthia, sorry, correction. Keeper is not $25 a month per client. I charge my clients $25 a month as like an admin fee to help cover the cost of Keeper and other software. Keeper is like $8 a month or $10 a month if you want to like have it branded in your colors or something like that. So, I'm glad you asked that. No, Keeper itself is not that expensive. So yeah, $8 a month like makes it super easy to like justify like especially if you and then it grows with you. So yeah. Some of you guys, if you already have clients and you're having trouble price increasing, one of the ways that you can price increase is just add that like some sort of monthly admin fee versus like actually doing a price increase. Because now you went from 300 to 325 a month. And sometimes that actually is part of the issue, right? Like, and it's practicing like changing the numbers. I will take that for some of you. Okay. So ultimately, what are we saying here today? We've told you all the softwares we use. Megan, is there any software that you use that we have not talked about today?
I don't think so. The only other thing that I used every once in a while, like from a scanning perspective, was TurboScan, an app on my phone that was free. When I was scanning, so I could take a picture after I signed it and it would upload it like a scanned document as a PDF. But outside of that, I think you mentioned everything.
Yeah. The only reason I had Adobe, and so Adobe does the same thing, like you can scan it, it's $15 a month. The only reason I had that was I was creating PDFs for one of my like I have a teachers pay teachers store. And so I was using that to like, because if you create a document, like you need to like protect it and make it so that people can't like copy and paste. And so so I already had that like $15 expense like in my life. So absolutely having something to scan documents, I feel like in adult life is really useful. Like,
Definitely.
so yeah, that is the only. Now, if you need to like sign documents, if you're going to use Equip 360, like for engagement letters, you can create a document in Equip 360 and have them sign it. We all keep hoping that Keeper does billing at some point, but Equip 360 is like, that will now become part of your workflow and it will trigger different things. So there is that. Ultimately, what we're saying is you don't need 20 tools and you don't need to spend $500 a month on software. So like Equip 360, Google Workspace, I forget what Teams cost. Keeper is by client. QuickBooks Online is free. Like that's less than $250 a month for all of that. Like, and you don't need Equip 360 at the beginning. So like for under $50 a month, like if you're okay with not having a website right now. I use Adobe to convert PDF to Excel and vice versa. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, if you're having to convert something, Adobe is just a nice, like, there are free ways to do that. Just be careful, like guessing at what websites you click on. Like, be really careful of like what converting websites you click on so that you don't like download a virus to your website or to your computer. Yeah, absolutely. I know. Okay. So some common mistakes in workflow practices is using email for everything. I don't recommend using email for everything. I did when I first started because that was my option. When I added in Google Drive, that was a little bit easier. But it can definitely get lost in email. Even if you do like a zero inbox, like just if you're not using it, like setting up tasks and stuff with those emails, it can get overwhelming. Not documenting your steps. Some of you guys are winging it every month and you're sitting down and you're like, what did I do last month? Record yourself doing the work. That way you can like watch it for yourself, or when you get to hire, like ready to hire, you already have it recorded. But a lot of times early on, if you just record yourself doing the work, you're going to remember more quickly what you did last month. And we want to avoid over customizing the process for every client. There are tons of tools you can do. There's like Screencastify, there's Loom, there is Scribe. Scribe is a really good one for like creating SOPs for it. You can also use Zoom or Google Meet. So if we're looking for free, you can actually record using Google Meet. There are so many options for that. Loom is a good one if you're looking for short ones or something like that. Yeah, and Loom does create SOPs. There are ways to, like, if you're like, hey, I already am familiar with Zoom or familiar with Google Meet, you can download the transcript from it, and you can use ChatGPT to create the SOP.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Just,
hey,
yeah, upload the transcript and there you go.
especially if it's short. So the shorter you can keep the videos, we don't like, it won't transcribe like a 2-hour video. But even then, like, it's not necessarily an SOP that you necessarily need, but like if you just have a video doing it, if you haven't read, Megan, can you grab the blog link? I might have it, but if you haven't read Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, he gives a lot of really good ideas for clockworking your business, meaning creating a business and not a job. So let me see if I can. Oh, well, Megan, if you beat me to it. Okay, do you guys have any other questions about like workflows, or if you're wondering if you can improve something, feel free to let us know and we can help with that.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm having like motivational and like mindset issues in my business. I've been looking like around for, I know you guys do coaching, and I did do a call with, I think it was Chelsea, because she does like the real estate stuff. So for me, like right now, it's just more so like staying motivated and doing the same thing. Like I've been doing it for, quite a while now. Well, not as long as you guys, but just I haven't been seeing like much success. And I'm getting into like a mindset where I'm feeling defeated, which is, I'm an entrepreneur, and, we're going to go through these ups and downs, but I kind of feel like it's just really happening way more often than it has been. I mean, I know like when you first start, you're like super excited, but then after a while, if things just really aren't moving, you kind of get into like a certain mindset. But like, I guess long story short, I'm just trying to see like what do you recommend for me? Like resources, people to connect with, um, like sales, business mindset people. I mean, I know there's a lot of people on YouTube, but I don't know, like in the bookkeeping space, like what would be like a recommendation you can give?
Megan Davis.
Yeah, if you like, I can definitely do one-to-one coaching. I do tons of mindset coaching. In our program, we have a mindset call every week because of that reason, because it's a real problem. They say 80% of your business is mindset, 20% is the knowledge of whatever skill you're doing. So when I started my business, or was even thinking about starting a business, that's the first thing I started doing was mindset work. So there's tons. I just dropped the reading list in the chat for the blog. There's tons of books on there that would be great. I don't think like that there's anybody specific to bookkeepers other than like we have it included in our program. There's tons of mindset coaches and stuff out there, and like books and everything, but nothing is like, hey, this is bookkeeping specific. But again, I'm happy to hop on a one-to-one call. We do have that a part of our program because of that reason, because it is a real issue and stuff. We have had Jennifer Allwood on a couple of times to do mindset calls on the podcast. So you could go back and listen to those. We've done like 2 with her, I think. One was in June and one was maybe February or so of this year. But one was June of last year. So like that's definitely real stuff. The biggest thing that like advice right here, right now, based on what you said, that I would say is, one, you're going to want to make sure that you're every day doing mindset work. As crazy as that sounds. But so like finding a book, finding somebody on YouTube, something like that, and whether it's 10 to 15 minutes a day of a YouTube video or an audiobook, listen to it to get your day started, is what I did. Because to say like you're not gonna be motivated all the time, like that's just life, that's just how things work. Like you're not gonna want to do it, but you have to be consistent enough and be disciplined enough to continue to just show up. And you have to look for the small wins in things. So even though a client, like maybe you haven't signed a client in a month or two or whatever, what other wins have you had in your business? Maybe it's you've gotten things organized, you've been spending more time learning things to better serve the clients that you do have, you've completed some type of certification. So you have to start celebrating all of the wins, even though they feel like, hey, that's not small. Maybe, I mean, that's a small win. It doesn't feel like it's huge because like you're looking for something monetary, but celebrating those wins as they come along and stuff. But definitely, I like the beginning of my business, I can tell you, I had 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening that I was in the car, and that was spent listening to audiobooks. So I've consumed tons of mindset material, and that is the only thing working full time and trying to grow a business that kept me going. Was just listening to other people's stories and working on my own mindset and trying to stay motivated.
Yeah, I know. I reached out to you, Megan, early kind of, I had like, what, year 2, I reached a funk and got stuck and was like, I had to kind of reset, kind of re-dream, like, where am I headed? What does this look like? When I first got started though, on like just the marketing and consistency and, am I getting clients? Am I not? For me, practically just really tracking the numbers, but also like, what am I committed to doing? Like if I'm having a week that's busy or whatever, like, did I at least do what I committed to doing? And I think that does a lot, because now, like, if you did, so if I am going to DM 100 people, or for me, it was Upwork, what I was doing on Upwork, you start to build trust with yourself. I did what I said I was going to do, regardless of the results. Now in tracking it, I can then, I then have something to track because I followed through. And so just being like honest with yourself and doing what you say you're going to do is, I think, really a big part of like executing that mindset.
Yeah.
And then Megan, is there a link for the boot camp happening?
Yes, I have it. Yeah, let me grab it again. I've had it pulled up, and Cameron, if you need to schedule a call or anything, feel free to send us a message or an email or anything, and I'll get you the link for that, because I'm happy to hop on.
Yeah, I think I would like a call, work on a call.
Yeah, definitely. Would love to chat. Y'all, here is a link to boot camp that we have coming up. It is going to be on the May the 12th, 13th, and 14th. We will be doing boot camp. Day 1 will be marketing and niching. Day 2 is going to be lead magnets in email. And then day 4 is going to be mindset and conversion. So converting those leads into sales is what we're going to talk about. So I dropped a link for that if you are interested in signing up. That will be May 13th to the 14th. And if anybody is interested in signing up for the program, I'll drop that link as well. We would love to have y'all, and if y'all have questions, definitely let us know.
And then did anyone notice that we are like, the shirt club happened this week? So it's like
New
we almost
shirts.
always like unintentionally I put it on
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I should have asked. So if you guys aren't in the shirt club, we it is a nonprofit Megan and I support called Consider the Fields, and we've had Tara on.
Yeah, she talks mindset. Yeah, she came on for mindset.
Just because she's been in the thick of it for sure.
Yeah, I dropped the the link for that too, if y'all want, if anybody wants to sign up. It supports like moms who are coming out of abusive relationships and addiction and stuff to help them get like in a safe environment with their families, the resources and stuff that they need to restart. So it's for Project Hope. Is there
We
any
have
yeah.
oh yeah, sorry, you can read the question.
Is there any advice on cold DM scripting?
We have some scripts in the Bookkeeper Blueprint, and like, so yeah, we definitely do. And Cameron, you're familiar with Cameron Montgomery, right?
Yes.
He has a lot too. I mean, we have like some examples and things like that, but if you're looking for like hand holding specifically on Facebook DMing, he would be who we recommend for that. But we have a lot of people who do it just themselves organically without signing up for another program because they're like, hey, I need the bookkeeping. So we support in that too, right? Like, so yeah. I mean, I don't think you want to be like the scammy DMer who's
No, definitely not. And
Yeah,
that's
I just got
basically all I get,
last
you know,
week
like,
of, friends are made with less whatever, and I'm like, bye. You know, like, so one thing I love that Chelsea used to do, Megan, was she kind of like made connections in the real estate world. So you met with Chelsea.
Yeah.
And the way she did it, like she would like write down the people's names. Like she tracked it. And then, you know, she had a process for day 2 and day 3 and day 4 and how to follow up. And if they didn't follow up with her, right, like they didn't respond to the cold DM, she would just message them. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm a bookkeeper in the space, you know, real estate space, local to you. If you ever have any needs, but I hope business is going well, let me know if you have anything. And I would make that part of like, what is the bigger holistic plan? Can we send them a training? Can we send them something to build a connection with them? I just caught my own attention was caught by an ad recently of like a resource. I was like, oh, that'd be a really cool resource, unrelated to business at all, you know? And I, you know, DM'd the word or whatever, like I was supposed to get the thing. They actually sent a voice message and then 2 trainings. And like ultimately, like it was, you know, a sell into their like training program or whatever. But it was still informational and it was a voice message. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can do it that like can be not sleazy, like, and really providing value to the people that you're wanting to serve. And I would really pay attention to like what cold DMs are you getting and which ones are you more likely to respond to.
I was going to suggest the same thing. I always try to pay attention in all of my marketing stuff that I do, like whether it's email, whether it's posting on Facebook, whether it's anything, like what was I like, oh, I really appreciated the way they approached that or whatever. Like, because if it's catching your attention, it's going to catch people with like personalities, and that's going to be your ideal clients too.
And you can use, so like if you get our like scripts, you can put those into ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to communicate. But we want to avoid that instant like, nope, wall up. We're trying to get past the wall. We're trying to get around that so that we can build a relationship. Sales are done on relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Even car sales at the end of the day. Like, well, now with Carvana, probably not, but like.
Well, and especially what we're doing, because we're looking at people's finances. So that's feels like a very private thing to a lot of people. So you're seeing in everything they're doing. So you really, some of them and of course, not always. Sometimes people will just sign up, but a lot of times you really have to build that know, like, and trust factor.
Because it can, in the accounting industry, it can take 6 months to get a yes, which is why, like, after I read that statistic, and fact checked it and, you know, all of those things, I think it was from the AI CPA, and I really started pushing email marketing at that point because I started seeing it be true in my business where, like, yeah, I often have people, they contact me because they're ready to go ahead and like get started and they know that I can take it off their plate. Absolutely. I have other people who are, you know, are just trying to figure out, what are my options? What do I need? Well, now they're on my email list and now I'm emailing them tips, tricks, and I'm speaking their language. And they're like, you know, like someone recently opened an email from me and they're like, I think I recognize this name. And, but what I was talking about in the email, they're like, I think I recognize the name. I need that. I'm going to book a call. Right. Like, and so it was worth a conversation. So I would definitely consider making just long-term perspective, email part of it, but we can also build that through cold DMing. Now I do want to like put a caveat, like some of you guys are going to get really frustrated with cold DMing. And when I say email marketing, I am not saying cold email marketing. You cannot take a cold email list to a Quip 360. Like, you'll get your account shut down. And yeah, like, and that's true for, you know, MailChimp, that's true for GoDaddy, that's true for any of these. Like, you have to have like a very special setup, and then you have to have some, like, you need a different domain to do that. So I'm not saying do that, but like the best cold DM would be answering someone's, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, Megan, when I was last on. We were talking about going to Facebook groups and like answering questions. So if someone said like, hey, I don't know how to track mileage, and mileage is low-hanging fruit, so forgive me for that, but like, I don't know how to track mileage. Does anyone have any resources? And you message them back saying, hey, I've actually got a training for you on this. It's free. Would you mind if I DM it to you? And then you just send them the Loom video. And then you can follow up. What did you think of that? Like, do you have any other questions? Is there anything I can help with? Now you don't have their email yet because you just sent them a Loom video. But you now have you have the conversation. And conversations is what we want. But you didn't know that they were completely a cold person on Facebook, and you can look for those opportunities. Hopefully that helps, Cameron.
It does. Thank you so much for that.
And voice messages, like, I don't think those are dead. I think they come in waves, like where we see people do them, but I don't think it's dead. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for jumping on today. It's always so much fun. Always fun when we have T-shirts club too, but we're looking forward to the boot camp. If you guys want to go deeper into how to set up, you know, your marketing plan, that's a lot of what that boot camp is. So, okay, well, we will see you guys next Thursday.
Yep. Bye.